I honestly don't even know why I'm posting this here. Maybe because I can't sleep anymore and everyone in my real life either keeps telling me to fight for my marriage or acts uncomfortable every time I mention my wife's name. I'm 34M. My wife is 32F. We've been together for 9 years, married for 6. Up until about 8 months ago, I genuinely thought we were one of those couples people secretly hated because we looked too stable. We weren't perfect, obviously. We argued about stupid stuff like money, her impulsive spending, my work hours, her obsession with posting everything online like our lives were some influencer couple fantasy. But I thought those were normal marriage problems. Now I look back and realize the cracks were there way earlier. My wife has always been intense, sharp-tongued, very defensive. The type of person who can lie while looking directly into your eyes without blinking. I used to think she only did it during arguments because she hated being wrong. Small stuff at first. Did you pay the electricity bill? Yeah. Then boom. Final warning in the mail. Did you text your ex? No, why are you acting crazy? Then later I'd see deleted messages. But every time I caught something, she somehow twisted it around until I ended up apologizing. She was terrifyingly good at it. About a year ago she started changing. Not in an obvious, she's cheating, way at first. More like, emotionally absent. Like her body was home but her mind wasn't. She stopped laughing with me. Stopped touching me first. Stopped asking how work was. But suddenly she cared a lot about her appearance. New clothes. Gym membership. Expensive perfume she claimed was on sale, even though I later found the receipt and it absolutely was not on sale. She also became glued to her phone. And I mean glued. If she went to the bathroom, phone came with her. Taking trash out? Phone. Quick shower? Phone on the sink. At night she started angling the screen away from me. Tiny movements. Tiny details. But when you love someone for almost a decade, you notice tiny things. The first real moment where my stomach dropped happened on a Thursday night. I remember because I had just worked a brutal 12-hour shift and came home exhausted. She was sitting on the couch texting someone and smiling at her phone in a way I hadn't seen her smile at me in months. The second she noticed me, the smile vanished. Like instantly. She locked the screen so fast it almost looked rehearsed. I joked about it. Tried to keep it light. Damn, who's got you smiling like that? And she snapped immediately. Why are you always interrogating me? Always. That word hit me because I almost never questioned her about anything. I apologized even though I hadn't done anything wrong. That became the pattern. Any small question turned into a fight. Why are you home late? So now I need permission to exist? Who were you on the phone with? You're acting insecure again. Why'd you delete the messages? Because I knew you'd overreact. Everything somehow became my fault. Then came the business trips. My wife works in marketing, and suddenly she had client meetings. Out of town every few weeks. Before this, she traveled maybe twice a year. Now it was constant. At first I believed her because, why wouldn't I? She'd send selfies from hotel rooms. Pictures of wine glasses. Random conference rooms. Looking back now, those photos feel sinister. Like props. One night during one of those trips, she FaceTimed me from her hotel room. She seemed irritated the whole call. Distracted. Like she wanted to get rid of me quickly. Then I heard it. A man coughing. Very faint in the background. She froze. I froze too. I asked, "Who's there?" And without missing a beat she said, "The TV. The TV. A coughing TV." I remember staring at the screen thinking there was absolutely no way she expected me to believe that. But she doubled down hard. Started yelling. Started accusing me of not trusting her. Started crying. By the end of the call I somehow felt guilty again. That's what she did. She created chaos anytime she was cornered. So much noise and emotion that the original question got buried underneath it. But something changed in me after that call. For the first time in our marriage, I genuinely thought, she's lying to me about something big. And I had no idea how bad things actually were yet. After the coughing TV incident, I started noticing things I probably should have noticed months earlier. Once suspicion gets into your head, it's like your entire reality changes overnight. You stop seeing your partner as comfort. You start seeing patterns. My wife suddenly had passwords on everything. Not just her phone, apps too. Even her laptop, which she used to leave open around the house all the time. She also started sleeping differently. Before, she'd fall asleep against me. Legs tangled together, hand on my chest, all that cheesy married couple stuff. Now she slept facing the edge of the bed like she was trying to physically escape me. And the weirdest part? She got nicer in random bursts. Like suspiciously nice. One morning she made me breakfast before work, kissed me goodbye, told me she loved me 3 times in 10 minutes. That same night she came home at almost midnight smelling like perfume that wasn't hers. I know how insane that sounds, but when you live with someone that long, you know their scent. There was this different perfume mixed into her clothes. Sweeter. Stronger. When I mentioned it casually, she rolled her eyes. It's probably from one of the girls at work. Jesus Christ. Then she laughed at me. Actually laughed. That hurt more than the lying. A week later things got even stranger. I woke up around 2 a.m. and realized she wasn't in bed. I figured maybe she was in the bathroom or kitchen, but after 10 minutes I went downstairs and found her sitting in her car outside. In the driveway. Talking on the phone. At 2 in the morning. The second she saw me through the windshield, she hung up. I walked outside half asleep asking if everything was okay. And she immediately got aggressive. Can I not even take a private phone call now? I said. At 2 a.m.? Sitting in the car? Her answer? It's my friend Jenna. She's depressed. So naturally I said, okay, let me just ask Jenna tomorrow if she's alright. That's when my wife completely lost it. Started screaming. Said I was controlling. Said I was embarrassing her. Said normal husbands don't monitor their wives like prison guards. Then she stormed back into the house and slept in the guest room. The next morning she acted like nothing happened. No apology. Nothing. That messed with my head badly. She could go from explosive rage to total emotional calm in minutes while I was still sitting there confused and hurt. A few days later, I made a mistake. Or maybe it saved me. I checked our phone bill. I know some people will say that's invasive, but at that point my gut was screaming at me nonstop. There was one number repeated constantly. Hundreds of calls. Late nights. Early mornings. During her business trips. The calls were usually short. 2 minutes. 5 minutes. Sometimes 30 seconds. Like check-ins. The number wasn't saved in my contacts. I stared at it for almost an hour before finally calling it from my work phone during lunch break. A guy answered. Deep voice. He sounded annoyed, like I interrupted him. I panicked and hung up immediately. My hands were literally shaking. I remember sitting in my car afterward trying to convince myself there had to be some logical explanation. Coworker. Client. Relative. Anything. But deep down, I already knew. That night my wife came home weirdly cheerful. She brought takeout from my favorite place and acted affectionate for the first time in weeks. Now I realize why. She knew I was getting suspicious. So she turned the charm back on. At dinner she kept staring at me carefully, almost studying my face. Then out of nowhere she asked, "Do you ever think people destroy good relationships because they're paranoid?" The question felt so targeted it made my chest tighten. I asked what she meant. She shrugged. Nothing. I just think trust matters. Trust. I almost laughed. Instead I asked her directly if there was someone else. Silence. Just for a second. But that second told me everything. Then she scoffed dramatically like I'd insulted her. Wow. So that's where we are now. I asked again. She said no. I asked why she'd been distant for months. She blamed stress. I asked about the secret phone calls. She claimed they were work-related. Then she suddenly started crying. Real tears too, or at least convincing ones. She told me she felt emotionally unsupported. Said I worked too much. Said she felt lonely. And somehow the conversation shifted into me comforting her while she cried into my chest. I hate admitting that. I hate how badly I wanted to believe her. But the next day something happened that completely destroyed whatever trust one had left. I got an Instagram DM from a random account with no profile picture. Just one message. Your wife isn't on work trips. That was it. No name. No explanation. Nothing else. And about 30 seconds after I opened it, the account disappeared. That Instagram message completely wrecked me. I spent the next 2 days barely functioning. At work I kept rereading it over and over like somehow the words would magically change. I tried convincing myself it was a troll or some random person trying to stir up drama. But the timing felt too perfect. And deep down, I already knew it was true. The thing about betrayal is your body notices before your brain accepts it. My stomach was in knots constantly. I couldn't eat properly. Couldn't focus. Every time my phone buzzed I felt anxious. Meanwhile my wife acted almost too normal. That scared me more than if she'd acted guilty. She was calm. Smiling. Posting selfies. Sending me random memes like nothing was happening while my entire world was quietly collapsing inside my head. Then another sudden thing happened. Her phone lit up while she was in the shower. She normally never left it unattended anymore, but she'd rushed upstairs because she got shampoo in her eyes or something. I wasn't even planning to look. I swear. But the notification preview popped up on the screen. And all I saw was, "Miss you already?" No name. Just a heart emoji. My chest literally dropped. I picked up the phone before I could talk myself out of it. Face ID failed obviously, but for some reason her messages were still visible in notifications. There were dozens. Most deleted except fragments. Last night was crazy. He suspects something. You looked so good in that dress. My hands started shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. Then I heard the shower turn off upstairs. I panicked and put the phone back exactly where it was. I remember sitting there on the couch staring at the TV without actually seeing anything while my heartbeat was going insane. When she came downstairs, she immediately checked her phone. Immediately. Her eyes narrowed for just a second. Then she looked at me. You touched my phone? I said no. Another lie added to the pile. She kept staring at me like she was trying to read my mind. Then suddenly she smiled. Good. Because trust is important. That line made me physically sick. I barely slept that night. Around 4 a.m. I got out of bed and sat in my car thinking about everything. The lies. The manipulation. The way she kept making me feel crazy for noticing obvious things. And honestly, I still wasn't even sure if I wanted proof. Because proof would make it real. The next weekend she told me she had another work trip. 2 nights away. Chicago this time. Normally she'd over-explain trips in detail, but now she barely gave information unless I asked directly. Flight time? I don't remember. Hotel? Some Marriott. Client? Why does it matter? Every answer came with attitude. The morning she left, something weird happened. She hugged me before heading out, and for a split second she looked genuinely sad. Like actually sad. Then she whispered, I love you, okay? Not, I love you. I love you, okay? Like she was trying to convince herself. The second she left, I made the dumbest and smartest decision of my life. I followed her. Not dramatically. I didn't hire a PI or wear sunglasses like a movie character. I just waited a few minutes and drove after her because my instincts were screaming. She never went near the airport. Not even close. Instead, she drove to a parking garage downtown. And there he was. Tall guy. Beard. Probably early 40s. Standing beside a black SUV waiting for her. I remember every detail so clearly it's burned into my brain permanently. The way she smiled when she saw him. Not her fake polite smile. Her real smile. The one I hadn't seen in months. Then she kissed him. Like passionately. Like they'd done it 100 times before. I think part of me died right there in that parking garage. People talk about catching someone cheating like it's explosive screaming and rage instantly. But for me everything went weirdly quiet. Like my brain shut down to protect itself. I just sat there gripping the steering wheel so hard my fingers hurt, while watching my wife climb into another man's car. Then the craziest part happened. About 10 minutes later, my wife texted me. Boarding now. Love you, Red Heart. I actually laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it was so unbelievably cruel that my brain couldn't process it normally. She was actively with another man while texting me lies in real time. That was the exact moment I stopped feeling guilty for doubting her. And the exact moment I realized my marriage might already be over. That night broke something inside me permanently. Not just because she cheated. Not just because of the lies. But because even after getting caught, even after watching me fall apart right in front of her, she still chose him. That realization hit harder than anything else. I didn't sleep at all after she left. I just sat in the kitchen staring at my phone like an idiot waiting for another message that never came. Around 6 a.m. she finally texted again. I'm sorry. That was it. 2 words. Meanwhile my entire life was burning down around me. I didn't answer. A few hours later she came home wearing the exact same clothes she left in. No eye contact. No dramatic apology. Just quiet tension filling the whole house. She looked exhausted though. Mascara smeared. Hair messy. And I remember thinking, good. You should feel horrible. But the messed up part? I still loved her. Even then. Even after everything. That's the part people don't understand unless they've lived it. Love doesn't shut off immediately when someone betrays you. Sometimes it lingers way past the point of dignity. She sat across from me at the kitchen table and finally admitted she'd gone to see Michael. At least she stopped lying for 5 minutes. I asked why. And her answer made me feel physically ill. I didn't know who to choose. Choose. Like we were contestants on some reality show instead of human beings. I asked if she spent the night with him. She started crying harder and said they just talked. I didn't believe that for a second. Honestly, by then I could barely believe anything that came out of her mouth. Then she said something that completely blindsided me. Michael apparently wanted her to leave me months ago. According to her, they'd been fighting because she kept delaying it. That triggered a whole new level of humiliation for me. Some random guy had apparently been discussing the timeline of my marriage ending while I cluelessly went to work every day. Then came another bombshell. She admitted Michael had met some of her friends already. Not accidentally. Intentionally. As her boyfriend. I felt like I couldn't breathe hearing that. There were entire moments, conversations, dinners, nights out happening parallel to my marriage that I knew absolutely nothing about. I asked if people laughed at me behind my back. She swore no. I still don't know if that's true. Then her phone buzzed on the counter between us. And before she could grab it, I saw the name. Michael Redheart. She snatched the phone so fast it nearly fell. But it was too late. The room went dead quiet. I asked, "Who the hell is Michael?" And instead of answering normally, my wife did something I'll never forget. She smirked. Actually smirked. Then she said, "A coworker. Don't start." That smug look broke the last bit of restraint I had left. I told her I followed her. I told her I saw them kiss. I told her I knew Chicago was fake. For the first time since this whole nightmare started, she looked genuinely shocked. Like she truly never expected me to verify anything. And then suddenly her entire personality changed. No more anger. No more smugness. She burst into tears instantly and collapsed into a chair crying. I didn't mean for this to happen. That sentence echoed in my head. Because notice what she didn't say. Not, it's not true. Not, you misunderstood. Not, nothing happened. Just, I didn't mean for this to happen. And that's when I finally realized the woman I married had been lying to my face for a very, very long time. The second she realized I had actual proof, the entire atmosphere changed. It was like watching someone switch masks in real time. 1 second she was defensive and cold. The next she was crying so hard she could barely breathe. I can explain, she kept saying. That phrase means absolutely nothing to me now. Because there's no explanation that magically makes betrayal hurt less. I asked one question. How long? She covered her face and whispered. 6 months. 6 months. I remember repeating it in my head over and over because my brain couldn't process the number. Half a year. Half a year of lies, fake work trips, fake affection, fake arguments designed to distract me, fake tears, fake reassurances. Half a year of sleeping beside me while living a completely different life behind my back. I asked if they slept together. She nodded. I asked if she loved him. And this woman, my wife of 6 years, actually had the nerve to say, I don't know. That answer hurt more than if she just said yes. Because it meant she'd emotionally left our marriage long before I discovered anything. Then came the trickle truth phase. If you've ever been cheated on, you probably know exactly what I mean. You never get the full truth immediately. You get tiny pieces. Pain in installments. First she claimed it was only physical. Then later admitted they talked every day. Then admitted they'd gone away together multiple times. Then admitted some of her, girls' nights, were actually with him too. Every answer revealed another lie underneath it. I asked who he was exactly. Apparently, Michael was a regional sales rep she met during a conference last year. Divorced. Early 40s. No kids. According to her, it just happened. I almost laughed hearing that cliché come out of her mouth. Nothing just happens for 6 months. That's thousands of decisions. Thousands. At some point during the conversation, I asked the question I probably shouldn't have asked. Did everyone know? Silence. Just for a second. But that silence told me enough before she even answered. Some of her friends knew. Coworkers too. People had apparently been watching me walk around clueless for months. That humiliation hit differently. I suddenly felt stupid. Weak. Like the punchline of some giant joke I didn't know I was in. Then came another bombshell. Michael's wife. Apparently she found out. About everything. She showed up at our house. Crying. Furious. And dropped proof that my wife and Michael were planning to move in together. Everything collapsed into chaos. His wife exposed messages. Plans. A second apartment. A full parallel life I had no idea existed. And suddenly it wasn't just my marriage ending. It was 2 marriages imploding at the same time. And my wife finally realized she wasn't the other woman in love. She was just one of several. A piece in a larger pattern of lies. And when Michael's wife said he never planned to leave her either, something inside my wife broke too. Because now the fantasy was gone. Completely gone. No future. No escape. No us against the world. Just consequences. And after everything, after all the lies, betrayals, humiliation, and collapse of 2 lives, I still didn't know what I was going to do next. I just knew nothing would ever be the same again.